Hi, my name is Maria. Welcome to my channel. I'm here today to give you an inside look into how to make a piece of therapeutic art. What is therapeutic art? It's a type of art that is not about the art. So it's not about making a beautiful piece of artwork to hang up on your wall. Instead, it's utilizing the time of making a piece of art to support yourself emotionally and overall to give yourself more peace, more love, and to connect back to the natural state of love that you are inside. So it's a work in progress. Every time you do a piece of therapeutic art, you take the time to focus on giving yourself the emotional support and connecting back to the love and the peace that already resides within you. So today I'm going to just share with you a practice that I'm going to do right now as therapeutic art. And there are 3 steps to doing this. The first step is to do some slowing down meditative breath work, or just, silent meditation for a little bit. The second part is to make a background piece of art that you would like to use as your background. And the third part is to write on your art some self-support statements to yourself that allow you to really feel and get into, like I said, reconnecting to the love that is within yourself. So in general, there are 3 steps. Depending on how you like to write on your art, you could say that a 4th step is, or let's say before the 3rd step, you actually paint some black lines in order to make your artwork or make your sentences pop out. But I will show you. So 3 to 4 steps. All right, so let's start with step 1. Step 1, we're going to just relax and sit in a comfortable position and sort of release the tension in our shoulders, release the tension in our eyes, and sort of loosen up. And we're just going to take a deep breath in and let it out. Close your eyes if you would like. You don't need to. And you're going to relish in a moment of silence. Okay, so once you've gotten into a little bit of a calmer state of being, you've relaxed a little bit, be mindful of that. Be mindful of not thinking about what you have to do later or what you did before. Be in this moment, give yourself this time, and really feel that you are giving yourself this time. So this type of work is about feeling good. When life gets us to a place of depletion, where we're feeling depleted in our energy, or maybe something has happened, like an argument, or something happened that we didn't expect, it was a problem. Sometimes we just get off track, and so we need to recenter. But you know what? We also need to have a little bit of fun. So we stay centered, knowing that we're giving ourselves this time. Anytime you feel like you might be losing track of the calmness that you feel, then recenter back into that calmness. All right. So at this point, you're not trying to do anything to help yourself. You're just relaxing a little bit, and you're thinking about, I'm going to do a little bit of art. The type of art that I teach is not something that I invented. It's been around forever, and it's basically a process that artists use to tap into their inspiration, and it's called intuitive art. And intuitive art means that you're not planning out something to paint and telling yourself, I'm going to paint this, I'm going to paint a flower, and now I'm going to go ahead and pick out my colors and paint my flower. Intuitive art is letting yourself free to make art, lines, curves, paint in any which direction you want without having it look like anything. So it's basically abstract, and it can have some shapes that look like things, but the intention is not to make a thing with your art. It's really to get out of your mind. And like I said, artists do this to warm up. They'll paint something very free-flowing. And that's what I'm going to show you today. And it's actually really fun. I mean, the time just goes by and you're doing it. So let me go ahead and show you that step. So this is, I would say step 2 is making the art. And I'm going to show you right now how to do that. But remember, the second half of this type of art, it's therapeutic. So we will add the therapeutic part in after we make the art. All right, so I'm going to put my phone up on my my camera stand, and I'll go ahead and show you what I mean. All right, so here we go. This is a piece of watercolor paper. It's 300 GSM or 140 pound, and it just means that it's pretty thick. So it can handle a lot of wet paint. I'm not going to be doing too many layers on here, but if you would like to have thick paper in case you do a lot of layers, you know, this watercolor paper, like I said, 300 GSM. Anyway, right before starting the camera again, I went to go change my camera to put it on my tripod, and I had my paint dish right here, and it fell into my paint. So lesson learned, all right? Any paints you would like, watercolors, these are acrylics. These are really thin craft paint acrylics, so they'll dry pretty quickly. And have at least 2 or 3 different size brushes so that you can you know, make different marks, paint different swatches. There's no rules to this or anything. Have your water to clean your brushes in. Have some napkins, paper towels, baby wipes to clean your hands or to wipe your paintbrushes on. And that's all we're going to do for right now, okay? So you can put music on during this part. You can, yeah, hum a song, whatever you would like, just to get yourself into this feeling of, I'm going to make myself a little bit of art. I'm going to have fun with my colors, okay? And so I'm just going to do that. I'll show you what I'm doing as I go along. No mystery here. Anyone of any age can actually just paint. So, you know, you look at the colors you have and you say, oh, I'd like to do this color. And so then you start putting that color on there. You don't even have to cover up the whole page if you don't want to. You can cover up the whole page if you, it's really honestly up to you. But the first step is to actually get some color on your painting that you're doing. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I like to make, I don't know what you call these, oval shapes, and I like to paint from edge to edge. I'll just drag the brush edge to edge. I like to use large swipes. You know, thick, I like to do thick swatches of color. Okay, and those can be painted over also, you know. I'm holding my paints while I'm doing this. So there's no mystery here, just painting. Okay. It's okay for the paints to mix. They can mix, it's no big deal. One thing I want to mention is it'll dry faster if you do thinner layers. So that's why I'm going back over. I'm trying to get rid of any excess paint. Because my goal is not to, well, my goal is to have my paint dry fast. It's not to have my paint look like something. So I'm not going to try to get into the details of my painting. I'm just painting, right? So there we go here. I didn't even clean off my brush, so it's got the mixture of the last color in it. But that's fine. But like I said, I'm going to do thin strokes. Up here a little bit. Let's do that. This is craft paint. It's very cheap at the store. It's more liquidy than the artist level paints, but I wanted something that would dry quickly so I could show you this whole process, you know, very quickly. All right, so now I am going to clean off my brush a little bit. So I'm just wiping it in the water a little bit, then I'm going to get another color. I think I'm going to go with that deeper purple color here. There, I want to make another color that stands out, not just the yellow and the green. For me, anyway. You can do what you want. You can do what you want. You know, like I said, you can just paint over different areas that you don't like. Maybe I'll just connect this whole thing. Why not? Have the whole thing swipe down here. It's up to you. Intuitive painting is painting the way you would like to paint. No one's telling you what to paint or how to paint. Okay. Pretty confident that even though I'm going over this a little bit more, it will still dry quickly. Yes. All right. I'm going to put a little bit more on this side. I guess now would have been a good time for me to switch to a thinner brush because I don't want to cover up all this yellow, but you know. So I can do that. I can do that. I can get another brush and I can go, I feel like I need to go back in. All my yellow got covered up over here. Oh, but it's not the same. Okay. No worries. When you wash out your paintbrush, make sure to dab it a lot on the paper towel because when you're using thinner paints, they'll become even thinner with the water. So you don't want to lose all the color at all of the color in there. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I'll have to let that area dry because I do want to put more purple. But instead I'm going to go in with some other colors. So I'll just do red. I'll just do some red. You know, put some red in here. Maybe I'll come in like this. Just do this. Like I said, we're just painting. Maybe I'll go a bit down here. Like I don't have, oh, I took too much paint, so now I'm gonna have to just sort of scoop some of the paint up and yeah, reapply it up somewhere else. Just having a little fun painting, not judging myself. It's gonna come out looking however it comes out looking, right? Okay. So, like I said, I just like to make thick stripes, right? That's what I like. All right, coming into this corner. I personally like to fill up my whole page with color. I don't like to leave blank spaces. But that doesn't have to be you. You can do what you want. All right, but I'm just doing what I feel like doing. It's also helpful if you put another piece of paper towel underneath your paper to catch any paint off the edge. I thought about doing it and then I forgot. So as I go along, I clean off my paintbrush and wipe any dry or wet water onto my paper towel. I'm going to go back with the bigger paintbrush and do some orange. Let's see. Got to really clean these paintbrushes well. All right, so I've got some orange. I'm going to go in here and just do that. I'm not sure. Just go with the flow, making random shapes, filling in spaces and all that. I'm going with random shapes. Need some paint in this area. Why not? Fill it in, right? Okay. It is getting some of the red in there, but that's okay. This is maybe a little bit of a quicker demonstration than if you were to do it yourself. Because of saving time, I want to get through this phase of it. I'm not taking as long as I normally would, but you know, I'm showing you the process here. I've got most of the spaces filled up. I'm going to come in with a smaller paintbrush and just, let's see, I want to go back and use this lighter purple. Well, I don't know what this color is, iridescent. It's like an iridescent violet, looks like. I really like it. Maybe I'll do some smaller lines and swipes and stuff like that. So got space, filling in the spaces. Here's some more spaces I have. Again, these are craft paints, so they don't come out they're not very highly pigmented, but that's okay, you know. And if you do want to use other paints, go ahead and do that. All right. Decided to just do some more of this violet. So here we go. Yeah. Let's do some more. It is very light, but that's okay because I could always go around it with another color, which I probably will. Okay, I don't want to take up too much time on this part because I want to get on to the next part there. So just finish up some spots here. Oh, I forgot to use my purple again. I've got to go use that. Okay. Acrylic paint makes your water really dirty quickly, so you have to be careful of that. Yeah, my paintbrush is wet. I should get a dry paintbrush. That would be better. That would be much better. Let me get a dry paintbrush here. Okay. So I just grabbed another rounded brush, but it's dry, so when I use this really thin craft paint, it'll actually stay on. hopefully. Well, now it doesn't look like it wants to either, so we'll just see. It's just wet underneath, that's why. Okay. But I also like to use up all the paint I have, so I'll just go over the areas where I already have paint. So I'm not intentionally making my art just kind of, I'm not making it like, oh, I'm just going to make this ugly piece of art. It's just what it is, It's just getting it out there, putting something down, not judging it. Is it good? Do I like it? Of course I would like to like it while I'm making it, but I sort of just like to see what happens. Experimentation is the fun part of going, oh, well, let's try this. When I teach my intuitive painting workshops, that's what I do. I just say experiment. You could always cover it up. You can always cover it up with another layer. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. I don't know. What else do I want to do? I do still have a lot of paint. What do I do? What do I do? Okay, maybe come back in and use some more orange here. It's like, do I want to take forever for my paint to dry? Is that what I want? Or do I want? As you can see, it's kind of hitting the other colors and mixing. That's called harmonizing, so it's not a bad thing. Go ahead, if you hit another color, with your previous color, just work it in. Just work it in. It'll blend. It'll blend in. It'll make a different color, but that's fine because it's blending. It's blending. This craft paint is quite liquidy, so it'll drip. That's the hard part. This is the drippy kind of paint. What should I do with this orange? Go back in here? Why not? Need to use it. Using up the orange. Okay, using up the orange. I know that I also have green to use up. I have 2 types of green in here. Where am I gonna put them? Okay. Art does look better when it's kind of wonky, doesn't it? If it looks too symmetrical and all that, then you don't really get the great feeling out of it. So, all right, what am I doing now? Okay, gonna come back in. I'm gonna get some of the bumps out of some of the paint that I want to dry. Going back over some places. If this was an actual painting, I think I would just keep playing with it, turn it into something else. But, I would just keep adding layers and layers if I was doing an actual intuitive painting class. But for this purpose, we're doing therapeutic art on our intuitive painting. So we're not going to be doing a ton of layers. So I've got the whole background covered, and I'm going to use my smaller paintbrush here, and I'm just gonna come in with some lines and dots in a minute. Just one more minute. See if I can fill in a little bit more purple over here. Okay. Don't overdo it. Okay, well, that's probably as good as it's gonna get for now. I do want to show you some other things you can do. All right. So again, like I said, I've got a small paintbrush and I've got other colors of green, and I'm just going to maybe make a swirl here in the middle. Wow, these craft paints really do not cover well. Then again, I used a dark on top of a dark, so I should have just brought out the white, but I didn't. So, yeah, dots, no, those dots are too thick. Will take forever to dry. Just maybe more lines. Just more lines. Yeah, I can do that. I probably just have to come in with a paint pen if I want to do dots, because if I do dots with paint, they're going to, they're going to take forever to dry, right? So, but I have this other color green, so I might as well just go ahead and try to figure out ways to use it. Just making lines, spreading out the paint. We can do some of that over here. The goal is just to have fun with it, right? I'm not even really trying to make I'm not really making patterns. I'm just flinging paint and having fun doing it. Why not just keep going here? Hopefully it'll dry quickly. All right. Let's try to go back in here with another. I can also lighten this up with another color. So I can go with that other green color that I have. Yeah, that one might be better. Wow, interesting. Okay. Again, using my small paintbrush, I'm just going to come in with the red. And I'm just going to outline here. That was really watery. I didn't dry it enough. My paper towel is getting wet, so I need a new one. Okay. You're over there painting your part. There. I'm doing mine over here. Maybe just highlight this area a little bit. At some point, I am going to have to call it quits, so I can get on to the next step. am in the process. Let's see if there's anything else I want to do. Oh, a second. Let's see. Just do little dots, maybe. Where else can we add some dots? Let's add some red dots down here. All right, so I think I am gonna call it quits. I didn't add any white in there, but that's okay. We'll be okay without it. Could do green dots over here though. Which color green should I do? This is what you'll be doing at home. You'll be saying, oh, let me just add one more thing over here. Let me just try one more thing over here. This is what you get when you want to experiment, right? All right, well, I'm going to give this a few minutes to dry, and I will come back and show you the next part. See you in a bit. Okay, we're moving on now to the third step in the process, which is to write the therapeutic sentences, the self-supportive sentences for ourselves. So we'll go ahead and put our painting aside to dry. Okay, I had been watching something about Mr. Rogers, and there was a quote here. Of course, I got paint on my paper, but Mr. Rogers, if any of you remember him, or if he was before your time, was a TV host for a kids show, but he used that setting to teach kids about life. And this is what Mr. Rogers said. He said, "The toughest thing is to love somebody who has done something mean to you, especially when that somebody has been yourself. It's very important to look inside yourself and find that loving part of you. That's the part that you must take good care of and never be mean to, because that's the part of you that allows you to love your neighbor. And your neighbor is anyone you happen to be with at any time of your life. Respecting and loving your neighbor can give everybody a good feeling." Wow, this was powerful to me because I am a feelings-based person. When it comes down to it, if you can carry and sustain good feelings more often inside of yourself, then you will also have good feelings towards others and therefore share your love or be helpful or be good to a neighbor or someone else you're with. So I really thought that was really important. I mean, I just really honestly, it's very important to look inside of yourself and find that loving part of you. Okay, so when we go and write self-support statements on our art, we want to remind ourselves of that love we have inside of ourselves. We want to connect back to it. So when we go to write our sentences, it's like we have a loving parent, a father, a mother, or this bigger part of ourselves that is talking to us and telling us, reminding us of that. And Mr. Rogers does that. He's like a loving father. He's getting you to feel better by saying it's very important to look inside of yourself and find that loving part of you. That's the part of you that you must take good care of and never be mean to, because that's the part of you that allows you to love your neighbor. So he's saying, take care of the loving part of yourself. Be loving to yourself. Nurture that love. If you've been mean to yourself, forgive yourself for that and try again to create the peace inside to allow your love to be the biggest part of you. All right, so that will also flow out to other people who you're with. So it gives everybody, respecting and loving your neighbor can give everybody a good feeling. So when I go to write some sentences, typically I write, 4 or 5 sentences. And we're not going to copy Mr. Rogers, but the essence of what he's saying is, if you tend to be mean to yourself, you can focus back on that, right? And find the loving part of yourself. So the loving part of yourself is always in there. And it's maybe looking from afar at you doing the things that you're doing in your life and thinking the thoughts, maybe thinking a mean thought about yourself or putting yourself down, saying you're not good enough. Why did I say that to that person? Why did I do that to that person? It could be in any area of life, in relationships, in work, and these are very specific situations where we do honestly need to take that back in a sense. And so that's why we use statements starting with you. Okay, so I start my statements as if this very loving part of me is talking to the other part of me that might not have been loving to myself. Okay, so you as the subject is really yourself. Okay, so again, reading what Mr. Rogers said, it's very important to look inside of yourself and find that loving part of you to take good care of. So I want to start out by saying you always have a loving part of yourself. Because you always do. Let's see. Whenever you are tempted to talk negatively about yourself, talk or think negatively about yourself, think again. Choose a loving thought. Maybe you could say something like, and instead of saying, why did I do that? I'm so stupid. Say, it was a moment of high emotion. Now that I can calm down, I realize it was just a slip up. I'm good with it now. I feel better. You need to remind yourself of this. Your loving nature. All right. So you always have a loving part of yourself. Whenever you are tempted to talk or think negatively about yourself, think, oops, supposed to say think again. Choose a loving thought. Instead of saying, why did I do that? I'm so stupid. Say, it was a moment of high emotion. Now that I can calm down, I realize it was just a slip up. I'm good with it now. I feel better. You need to remind yourself of this, your loving nature. Okay, now this is definitely more than 5 sentences. I might just pick out the essential lesson to be learned. You always have a loving part of yourself. Choose a loving thought. I feel better. You need to remind yourself of this, your loving nature. So that's just four sentences right there. And that's what I'm going to put on my art. Now, this is what I'm doing. You can do what you would like to do and make it any way that you want it to be. So the next step here is to look at my art, okay, and see if it's dry. And I see that some of the little dots haven't fully dried up. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just put the paper towel down and dab like this. See, it's already picking up the wet dots. And pick it up. All right, it's not going to be perfect, but that's just what it is. I'll do that again over here. All right, let's see if there's anything over here to dab up. I mean, you're typically not going to dab your art all the time, but for this purpose here, we're needing to use a dry piece of art. All right, so then the next step is to paint the lines where you're going to write. Now, if you don't want to do this part, like I said, you're going to be writing the sentences on your art. If you don't want to, you can just go ahead and start writing on your art. So if you wanted to just see some dark areas and use a white jelly roll pen, what are these called? Gel pens. Just like a gel pen or light colored pen on a dark surface, you can do that. So, you know, you can write, you can maybe write and see. I'm making little hearts. So it'll show up for you if you just want to do that. What I like to do is to use black paint and just paint some curvy lines on here, and then I write with the same pen. So it's up to you. You can just directly write on here, you know, this, but you'll see that maybe in the light areas it won't come out. You can see it a little bit, but yeah. The reason why I use the black chalk paint is because then it makes it easy to write on with a pen. Okay, so what I do is I get black chalk paint, and I happen to have some on here. I get black chalk paint and I get a brush. Not sure if I'll use the large brush or the medium brush. We'll see. Try to go here. I'm not really painting in any way that I planned out. I'm just painting some lines. They're just going anywhere I want them to go. But of course, I'm taking up a lot of space with these lines so that I have space to write my sentences. So make them long, curvy lines. Okay. Can connect it back down here. I can do it, I can do it. Yes, here we go. Here we go. Look at this, it's just one very long line. Maybe that's the simplest way to do it, you know? That could be the simplest way to do it. Then you just think, well, do I have enough space to write all what I wrote down on my paper? You can choose to make another line somewhere if you don't. Just keep this one line that you have. This dries pretty quickly as well. Just make sure to go back over it, remove any thickness in the layer there. So, oh, I just got so excited about this part. I can't even tell you. And I think I will just keep it at the one line just to make it simpler. Then you can still see the art in the background there. Okay. Just going through and making sure that my lines are thick enough so that I can write on them. Okay. All right. Again, I said this part is optional. You can also just write directly on your art with a pen. But I like to add this in. The reason why is that when I look at my art, my goal is not to see my art. My goal is to see my sentences. So they need to pop out at me a little bit. So they need to pop out at me. Using black paint really makes the contrast. And then using a white, you could use a paint pen. They have white paint pens in different brands. This one's Posca, but there are different paint pens. And that, you'll see the black and white stick out. All right, it's not dry yet, so give it a minute and I'll be right back. All right, so while I was waiting for the black line to dry, I just went in with some paint pens. These are Posca 3M pens in different colors, and I just doodled and highlighted a little bit just to make it a little more interesting. I mean, you can go in and do as much of that as you want to put details in if you would like, or if not, that's fine. So that's the intuitive part. The intuitive part is having fun with your art, making it into something interesting that you would like to look at, you know, and that the other part of it is giving yourself some loving support that you need by writing your sentences on your art. All right, so all I need to do now is basically write my sentences. So here we go. Hopefully this will come out. Well, I think I'm going to try the jelly roll, see if it will come out on here. All right. So let's see. You always, there's a wet spot right there. You always have a loving part of yourself. Okay, I only let it dry for maybe 5-10 minutes. but it's okay. You always have a loving part of yourself. Choose a loving thought. I'm going to change it to a you statement because I wrote, I feel better. I'm going to say, you will feel better. I'm just going to shorten, instead of saying, you need to remind yourself of this, your loving nature, I'll just say, remind yourself of your loving nature. Remind yourself of your loving nature. I need to fill in some space. I'll do some exclamation points there. Okay, so there you go. There you have it, your piece of therapeutic art. Of course, I'll have to go back over once it dries a little bit more. So it might need more than 10 minutes to dry, a little bit longer. I love it. I love my piece of therapeutic art. I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.